Thank you for tuning back into the Walk On Pod. I'm Luka Dolovich. With me, as always, is Jared Waters and Tommy Ball. And today we have another special guest coming back. I know it's been a few weeks, but we're bringing one back to you here today. He is the second installment of Mac Performance PT guests. We have Taylor Sloat with us here today, and we're going to let him take the floor like we always do to tell his story. Him and Jared are working very close together right now. I'll just say that. And, I saw him around the gym all summer long, so I feel like we know each other pretty well. But he's got a cool story. We'll get into some football talk, but I think it's going to be a great episode. So, Taylor, appreciate you being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Taylor.
So
Well,
Taylor,
boys, thanks for having me, boys. Appreciate it.
For the record, too, before I get started, a smooth jumper, too. Smooth jumper.
What?
Smooth jumper.
Ooh,
Yeah, smooth
you know
jumper.
it's broken. You know it's broken.
Modesty begins.
So,
But no,
yeah,
the floor is yours, wherever you want to start, and we'll go from there.
thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me. So I grew up playing football, basketball, baseball, and every sport. I grew up in a town, a couple hundred people up in the northeast corner of the state. So about 90 miles from any stoplight. So in those type of towns, you're forced to play every single sport that there is. Um, but definitely had some hoop dreams. There's no dreams like hoop dreams, as you guys know. But football is kind of where I fell into college. My dad was a college football player at UC Davis. He was a walk-on. My mom was a college volleyball player at UC Davis as well. And so UC Davis is kind of where I was supposed to go and where I ended up going. It was the only school that offered me out of high school. And in high school, I was kind of confused on what I wanted to do in college. I didn't know if I wanted to play hoops or play football. And luckily, I got a scholarship kind of last minute to Davis. So that's what I decided on. And it was just very natural having both my parents had gone there. My sisters both went there as well. So it was an easy flow into college. In high school, I actually played quarterback because at that small of a school, you kind of just throw a guy at quarterback that can lead the team and do whatever. I never actually caught a ball in high school, and I never blocked a soul. So when I got to UC Davis, it was a rude awakening. I had to switch over to tight end and actually become physical and gain a lot of weight and figure out a new kind of style of play. But I got to see it through a quarterback's eyes. My dad was my coach in high school, so film and learning the offense and all of that came naturally as well because that's all I was hearing every single night when I got home from practice. But when I got to Davis, I kind of fought for a spot. My first year, luckily or unlucky, kind of depends on how you look at it, 4 tight ends got hurt in camp, and I was the only one left at the end of camp. So I had to play in the very first game of my college career. My very first block was against Cameron Jordan at Cal Bears. So I'm this kid who never blocked a soul in high school, and then here comes my first college snap. I'm blocking Cameron Jordan, and that didn't go well.
goodness.
I was pretty soft at that time, and that was a rough game for me. I ended up getting hurt kind of mid-year, and at that time you couldn't get a red shirt if you had played past week 3, I believe. And I actually appealed the NCAA twice for a med red and got denied both times. But after that year, I got surgery on my shoulder that I kept getting injured, and ended up playing the next 3 years and had a great career at Davis. And got to play a little bit in the league as well. I didn't see the field, but went undrafted in 2014. Got a couple tryouts with the Niners and Bucks. Signed on with the Bucks after a couple of weeks into the regular season, and then over the course of the next year and a half, I got signed and released probably 4 or 5 times, where I'd fly out there for a couple of weeks, get released, fly out there, get released, and the cycle went on, and ended up having another surgery after about a year and a half. And after that, I kind of made the call to pursue my professional career, which was getting a graduate degree in physical therapy. So while I was at Davis, I sustained a ton of injuries, as most athletes do. A couple of them were surgical. And as a kid coming into college, I didn't really know what I wanted to major in. Changed my major 3 times. But as soon as I started working with a physical therapist after a surgery, I was locked in after that and really wanted to become a physical therapist because she was an amazing person. She She kind of blended rehab with psychology, with strength and conditioning. And I just thought that that was, to that point, I had never observed a professional in a field that was so competent and so helpful towards an athlete's kind of perspective and getting back to something that they really needed to get back to. So honestly, after probably like 3 or 4 weeks in physical therapy as an athlete, I switched my major and came home and told my mom and dad, I was like, I want to be a PT. So that's
That's
how I
sick.
found the field of PT. And I think a lot of PTs that I work with and that I've just talked to throughout the years have a really similar story that they had an injury themselves, they battled through, and they had a good role model on the way. So
Yeah, that's
No, that's awesome.
that's actually the exact reason why I went and got my undergrad in exercise phys. Same, injured in high school, liked the work that my surgeon and PT were doing, and wanted to continue to chase that. So I think you're exactly right.
I was never good enough at the science. They told me I had to take anatomy. I was like, nope, straight to
You know,
communications.
the,
Thank
the
you.
the part of the science that was tough was getting into the chemistry. That was the difficult part. The anatomy stuff, that's all remember. But once you had to do equations and chemistry, that was a whole different ball game. That was where I lost it. I was out of there
yeah,
at that point.
general
Yeah,
chemistry gets the best of us. That's a tough class.
It was OChem.
yeah.
OChem for me that made me want to quit.
It's not
Never,
for
never had to take chemistry.
There you go. And that's why you're a podcast host now.
Yeah. Well, I never mind. Different story, different day. Anyways.
So
Go
we
ahead.
had one of my former teammates on here, David Shriver. If any of you listening haven't listened to his episode, please go ahead and take a listen to that one. But he talked about growing up in a really small town, and he was a basketball player, obviously. And he kind of talked about the shock once he started getting higher in levels, and because growing up in such a small town, you don't have as much exposure to everywhere else. So, like you said, you were kind of the guy in high school. You played quarterback just because you were the do it all guy. At what moment did you have to realize that the small town that you grew up in wasn't what the rest of football was like?
Yeah, that was tough. I didn't start playing tackle football until ninth grade,
Mm-hmm.
and um, my first snap in tackle football was at a UNLV football camp in the summer. And we were playing against a team from Samoa,
cool.
and I had no idea what I was doing. These guys had been playing probably since a helmet could fit on their heads, and I just got like lit up 4 plays in a row. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to play this sport. So it was a rude awakening coming from nothing to high school. And then from high school to college, it was a rude awakening just because it was a different position. But playing hoops, I did a lot of travel ball growing up and went to some big camps and got exposure to like playing against some NBA talent and just got my butt kicked. That was fun. So I think that exposure in hoops kind of helped me for football because when you just get humbled by somebody that's so much more athletic and long and dominant, you're like, okay, like how much worse can it actually get? You know,
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Very valid.
once you get owned once or twice, you're like, okay, I get this now.
I know where I'm at. I know where I'm at.
Taylor, on that note, since we're talking about being multi-sport athlete, we've had people on here talk about it a ton. Um, where do you think the biggest benefit or the biggest thing that helped you from playing basketball? Obviously, we're basketball players. I was never allowed to play football, and I was too small growing up to probably, it would have been worse for me than it was for you. But where do you think the biggest benefit is from coming from like a hoop background with football? Because now we see so many guys do it, right, and do it really, really well.
Yeah, I've never actually thought about that. Definitely looking at, so I'll take this from a personal perspective and then from PT, you know that you look at all these stats always get showed in the World Series, they get showed in the Super Bowl, they get showed in the finals that so many pros are multi-sport athletes. And I think the way that that's helpful is it exposes you to different types of techniques, to different tempos, to different sprints, to different movement patterns. You're not doing the same thing year round, so you're offloading certain tissues there. For me with basketball, I felt I was a lot more aggressive in basketball in high school than I was in football. And I think that was just kind of a body awareness thing with pads on versus no pads. I was a lot more comfortable like lowering a shoulder in basketball than I was in football. that changed when I got into college, obviously. But I think in basketball, what you see, I was watching Kyrie the other night. He is so amazing at changing his speeds and his hesitations. Like you do that in basketball, you don't really do that in football. If you're running, a route or you're running in the open field, you're running max effort all the time. But when you're a tight end and you have to block on one play, you have to run a route on the next. Oftentimes you're faking a block and then running a route. There's a lot of changes of speed in that
Mm.
element in football. And I think that's something that's a little bit undervalued when you're looking at hoopers that turn into football players. There have been a lot of them.
That's a really, yeah, I don't know much about football, but that makes a lot of sense though.
I've never heard that explanation. I always hear the classic box out, the great
Hands and
tight
yeah,
end box out.
yeah,
That
yeah,
That's tough, because I feel like in college and in the NFL, the guys that are boxing out are the huge bodies, right?
yeah.
That's your Antonio Gates, your Tony Gonzalez, your AJ Browns, but that's not a lot of them. So I feel like just the understanding and the body awareness that comes with basketball is just so much different than football. Like in basketball, the amount of times you're jumping in a practice or jumping in a game, there's just so much more than football. Maybe you jump like 5 times in practice in football, but if you get all those exposures as a kid in basketball, your hand-eye coordination and your body awareness of trying to land on your feet after you make a grab is so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a really
Yeah.
good way to look at it.
Yeah.
well said.
I like that.
You
Oh,
fast forwarding to the professional scene. I know you kind of explained sign release, and all that. How, because this is just a personal curiosity question, does that go into like the way the practice squad stuff works, or is that a completely different? Like, how does that whole process work? Because I think we've talked about on here before, like when we have guys from the G League and stuff too, that like the professional athletes that like a lot of just average fans see is such a small percentage of it, whereas the story you told is probably the majority of football players that are chasing the NFL pros. So, and me, like, I just don't know how that whole process works, honestly. So I'd love to hear it in more detail.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go undrafted, basically I got a call the second the draft ended, and it was somebody in Tampa Bay's front office, and they said, "Hey, we're flying you out tomorrow." I forget if it was the next day or 10 days later or whatever. And you're gonna have a tryout with us. And for the undrafted guys, um, you're going into a mini camp that has about 50 or 60 guys, and they might sign two of those guys. And then those other guys, they got to see you up close and personal. So they've got you in the back of their mind or on a spreadsheet. Basically, during the year, if they have an injury, they might call you in for another tryout to see if, hey, is this guy still in shape? Could he maybe fit in on the practice squad for a couple weeks? If we have another injury, maybe we activate this guy. So I didn't even know what the practice squad was when I was in college. I honestly didn't have the NFL on my mind when I was in college. But after I went through that tryout process and I got signed, I quickly learned that the practice squad really only consists of like 8 to 12 players. Some teams don't have a tight end on their practice squad, some teams do. It just varies week to week. You're kind of looking, part of when I got released, I remember we were playing the Lions one week and two corners got hurt in one game. They released me and signed two corners and then activated one of those corners and kept the other corner on the practice squad just so they had depth at that position. And the second time I got released, I believe it was a linebacker in a corner that got hurt in the game, and then same type of deal. So you're kind of you're there because they're interested in you and they want to see you get reps, but you're also there as a buffer for injury management as well. And any team in the league can take you off of the practice squad and
Right.
activate you. So if you're on the
oh,
Tampa
okay.
Bay Bucks practice squad, the New Orleans Saints could look at you and be like, "Man, I like what that guy put on tape in the preseason or in college. I'm going to sign him to the active roster because we just had a guy get injured on Sunday."
Hmm.
And so for the practice squad guys, you're kind of always on edge because you know that it could be the last day any day. That's somewhat true for some of the active guys, maybe like the bottom 10 guys. But for the practice squad guys, it's very true, and that is getting reshuffled week to week. My wife, was always looking at like the NFL transactions because she didn't know if I was going to be home or going to be in Florida that day. So like she was just hitting refresh, refresh like every morning.
What we talk a lot about the mentality and stuff like that of a walk on and things. Obviously, being on the practice squad and being in that environment is very similar to like being a walk on, right? In a college basketball team or even in a college football team. What helped you stay grounded in those days where you're just kind of like, I'm gonna show up to practice today and my name plate might still be up there and I might get to practice and be like, oh, we don't really need you to be here anymore. Here's your plane ticket. So like what did you do meant from a mentality standpoint to help you stay grounded in those moments, those
Yeah,
weeks?
that's a good question. Uh, coming in that mini camp, that first mini camp, I got to compete against a handful of other tight ends. And the other cool thing was the second round draft pick that year was a tight end as well. So I came in at the same time as him and got to compete with him. I felt like I belonged in the league. Um, I don't know that even if all the stars aligned that I'd ever be a starter, but I at least felt like I should be there. And so after I got a lot of reps, several weeks went by and I made enough plays, I felt like, okay, I can hang here. When I got released, the first time they basically told me we're going to bring you back, stay ready. The second time they told me the same thing. The third time they told me the same thing. So I had people in that front office that believed in me and that at least wanted me on the practice squad. So I definitely used that. I also had the um, the experience. I had an older guy kind of take me under his wing who played tight end at Davis, played in the league for a long time, and he kind of prepared me for those situations and told me that that was probably going to be the case, that there were going to be a lot of times where I'd be packing my bags and going home, but just to be absolutely ready. There was at one point, I think I hadn't been on the team in like 3 months, and I actually enrolled back in classes because I had to leave Davis early to go to the league, and then I didn't finish my degree. So I re-enrolled, and then I was sitting in the library studying for an exam the next day, and my agent called and he's like, "You're going tomorrow. Your flight's at 7 a.m., whatever." So I missed my final, and I ended up having to go back later and retake that class again. I had almost finished it. So you're kind of always staying in shape and staying ready to go, but at the same time trying to live your life a little bit. You can't just sit there and not work and not make money and not live your life. So it's
Yeah.
tough to stay in it all the time, and I think that a lot of guys get burnt out. But luckily at this point, you've got a couple other leagues that are going. At that time, there wasn't another league other than the CFL. So I think that guys stay in it a little bit longer because of that now.
Mm,
I
nice.
mean, you even see because there's been guys. I know it's more like specialty positions and stuff, but get picked up from like the UFO or the XFL. Wasn't Jake Bates, wasn't he XFL or something like 2 years ago?
I think he
One of
was
the kickers was that had a big year. I think it was Jake Bates, but
that
yeah,
quarterback for the Panthers. Um, the other year, what was his name? PJ something. He played in one of the.
Walker. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So no, that is a good point. I didn't even think about that either.
Nice.
Go ahead, Jay. You had something?
No,
All
no,
right,
go ahead.
So we've seen now a handful. I mean, there's probably a ton of cases like yours where your quarterback converted to a tight end, but like obviously the big ones like Kelsey played quarterback at Cincinnati for a year or whatever before he was converted to a tight end. I know Tim Tebow tried to give it a shot. Stone Smart, Sacramento native, was a quarterback all through college, and now he's doing really well as a tight end for the Chargers. What do you think it is about the QB and tight end position that allows players to kind of be able to seamlessly transition from one position to another? I'm sure the size of the player obviously helps, but I'm sure there's a mental side to it too.
Yeah, the size is definitely an aspect, kind of like the NFL QB has a larger frame. They're usually in that 6'3" to 6'5" range. They're usually around 220 pounds. The tight ends are just a little bit heavier, but in college, a lot of those tight ends are lighter. Um, and I really think it comes down to an understanding of both the run game and the pass game. So
Mm-hmm.
as a tight end, especially in a college style offense, you have to know exactly what all the linemen are doing. You got to know what all the receivers are doing. That's what the quarterback has to know as well. So
Mm.
it's a quick pickup. Um, I think the run game is pretty complex. the center has to make the call every single play. Once he gets to the line, he's making the call of who he's going to work towards. That communicates then to the guard, then to the tackle, then the tight end. So you're kind of reacting to what everybody's doing around you, and you have to communicate really well, or else you're going to make a mistake and you're not going to be out there for long. And then on the receiving end, you need to know your hots. You need to know half field and full field concepts. You got to know everything. So you really are a little bit of a quarterback when you're playing in the tight end room.
So, yeah,
Nice.
I mean, you're talking to three guys that have never played a down of football in their life.
Yeah, a lot
so,
of that
like,
stuff went over my head, Taylor.
all that
But thank
stuff.
you.
I mean, it's cool though, and it's like it's funny because like as a viewer of football, like you can see that communication across the whole line, like as a play is developing, like you're saying. So that's pretty dope to me. I didn't know that's how the line of communication worked.
I just
Yeah,
love
if you look at do you guys watch the Super Bowl?
Of course.
So Jalen Hurts' interception that he threw in the Super Bowl. I don't know what Philly's protection scheme is, but I'm 90% sure that the center called the line to work to the left. Kansas City brought a corner blitz and they brought a linebacker. The center's call working to the left means that the running back should take the next backer to the right and then scan for anybody else that's around on the right side, whether that be a corner or a safety. And in my eyes, the center stepped left. Saquon should step up, fill the hole, and block that linebacker that's coming. And then the corner is the free rusher off of the edge. What Saquon did was he took a punch step to the left and he went straight to the corner. And then that left that backer coming right up the middle, hit Jalen Hurts. He throws an interception. So protection schemes in the NFL are huge. The running back's got to know it. The tight end's got to know it. Everybody on the line and the QB's got to know it. That's my favorite part of the game is the chess match that's going on
No, that's
pre and
super
post
dope.
I
snap.
love
Yeah.
hearing that right there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
That's
sick.
so cool.
Did you guys see the clip of Brady when he was talking about that kind of stuff? I don't.
From this weekend or just in general?
It was I don't know how old the clip was. Someone posted it on Twitter, and it was essentially him talking about it. Like it's his job, like to know what every single defender is gonna do and how they move, so that if like he should already know what's happening before the ball is snapped, and if the play's not going to work, then he needs to switch the play. Like he should know if his receivers are going to be open or not, and if they're not going to be open, then he switches the play. And he said that's where most young quarterbacks mess up, is that they don't figure out how to read the defensive players and where they're going and how they move to be able to get someone open. He's like, if no one's open, then that's on me. I messed up, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty crazy. It's a lot different than Madden, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Super Bowl, and obviously season's over, Taylor, and like obviously like this is the most we've talked football. Like your knowledge is it's like really impressive. Like what did you think of the Super Bowl, and what did you think of how the season went, and what were your final thoughts on the season as a whole? And obviously they're going to try to add another game and all that stuff. Like that's like what the looming thing is right now. So, like, what's your recap on the season?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Titans fan, so it was one of the worst seasons ever.
I'd like to hear what you want to do in the draft after your recap.
Oh man. Yeah. So I think that this year was tough because so many of the like marquee players in the NFL were hurt. And it's going to be interesting. You can never tell off of 1 year. You're going to have to look at a 5 or 10 year period, but how much of a role that short preseason plays into injuries during the regular season, how much of that prep work that the players may or may not be doing early on can lead to, injuries during the year. You always want to see the best players playing during the NFL season. And we didn't really have that to the full extent this year because so many guys went down. So I was bummed on that side. I I thought it was awesome to see Jalen Hurts get a Super Bowl. I was super excited for him. Just, to have what happened 2 years ago and then to make a comeback like that was pretty special. The Super Bowl game itself, I was rooting for the Eagles. I lived in Philly for 3 years. I got a lot of friends over there, so a lot of Birds fans around me, and I thought that they were just clearly the better team. I thought their defensive line was just unbelievable, hair on fire the whole time. Sweat couldn't be blocked whatsoever. And Mahomes, who's one of the greatest of all time, couldn't get comfortable in the pocket because he had no time to throw. And defense wins championships. Jalen said it right after the game. They won that game for him for sure. Jalen played lights out as well, but I mean, that defense was just unbelievable to watch. It was a clinic. It reminded me of Von Miller's team when Peyton won the Super Bowl with the Broncos. Like, Von got to the quarterback every single play, and it just felt like that with Sweat on the Eagles.
Yeah.
But really fun chess match with those two. I think the two best D coordinators in the game, and two of the best QBs in the game, making some amazing plays on Jalen's side, and then Patrick really just didn't have any time to make any sort of play. So I didn't think it was really on him. They were just outmatched.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I just
funny
Kind of
you bring
like
up.
the Tampa Bay game, that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He running for his
Yeah, because
life.
that pass rush was crazy that year too.
yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah.
It's funny you bring up the Von Miller. When we were watching it here as a team, someone asked, "Has a defensive player ever won the Super Bowl MVP?" Like when Josh Sweat was just causing a ton of havoc, and we were like, "Yeah, Von Miller won on Peyton's team," and
Yeah.
so that was the conversations there. But obviously, I think Jalen deserved it. He, like you said, he played lights out. But yeah, I want to
think-
hear your. Oh yeah, go ahead. My bad.
I was gonna say, I think Derek Brooks won it with a pick
With-
six and another pick against the Raiders, like back in the early 2000s
Yeah.
Yeah.
when the
And
Bucks beat the
not
Raiders.
no, Roethlisberger won that year. Never mind.
Didn't the Seattle dude win it? The year Seattle stomped the Broncos, I'm pretty sure a defensive player won it. I'm gonna look that up.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Taylor, the other question before Luke moves on about the Titans stuff, like from a PT standpoint, since we've been getting a lot of information from you, do you think that the shortened preseason or the added game, like what do you think caused all the injuries, or do you think it's just like a fluke? Like in your mind, obviously no data collected, but
Yeah. It's tough because they're the same type of injuries. Um, some people think that Achilles injuries are increasing. Um, and some people are blaming the surfaces. I I don't know about that. I think there was a higher incidence of Achilles, maybe by a few, but if you're in that 28 to 36-year-old range, your your chance of an Achilles rupture is just elevated in that, at that time period. Um, I I thought that a lot of those injuries were the typical injuries, but I just in my mind wonder how much of that decreased time for that prep phase plays a role because you're getting a little bit of time off before the preseason starts. You've got your OTAs in April, and then you've got a little bit of time off, and then you're ramping up for camp, and then you're kind of, if you're a starter, you're not doing a ton in the preseason. You might get a quarter in a couple of the games, and then you're thrown into the season where reps are a lot higher, a lot more high stakes. You're playing with a lot more intensity. So I don't know what teams are doing about that now in the off season, but it kind of seems like I would put money on 5 years comes out that shortened preseason does lead to a little bit more injuries.
it's like the same thing in basketball too, because like now some teams aren't even you can they're leave it up to the discretion of each NBA team to decide how many preseason games they played. Like Philly played the full 5. You can play max 5.
Yeah.
But like there was 2 teams that only played 2 games.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so it's like yeah, I mean it's hard to say, but I just think like yeah, to go from just like chilling and not playing hard to like, oh, season starts, these games matter and just gear it up and play hard. Like, I'm with you. It's like you can easily play 15, 20 minutes of a basketball game, not play your full 36, not play your full 39, and like still get the reps that you need, like a hard 10, 15 minutes. I'm sure football is the same.
Yep. And it's just football's a tough sport. You're never going to prevent injuries in football with such a high contact collision sport and how many reps they get. That's a long season playing that many games.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the NBA season needs to be shorter or the quarters need to be shorter. I think the NFL season needs to be a little bit shorter.
NBA should be cutting
There's
out
so
10
many
games.
exposures, man.
Yeah, 10 games easily. So
But
Did you find yourself looking at sports differently after you started studying, like your PT studies?
absolutely. Yeah, I think that our profession in general in the past was a little bit more passive. We did a lot of, wrapping things up, waiting for things to heal, and then not loading people correctly in order to get back to being on the field, being on the court. I think that with the combination of how much tech is going into sports and return to play metrics now, we're really getting better at that, and we're getting more dialed on when it's okay for somebody to come back. In the past, it was kind of like, yeah, he feels good, he's good to go. And now it's like, oh, okay, no, if you're coming back from this ankle injury, you have to meet these 3 to 5 criteria. If you're coming back from this knee injury, you got to meet these 3 to 5 criteria. So it's just so much more specific now. And I think that, you know, that really has only come out in the last 5 to 10 years. And I think it's just going to get better and better. And you're seeing all of these people within an organization, within a sports organization. You've got the head of performance, you've got physical therapists, you've got athletic trainers, you've got doctors, you've got this huge support staff, and they all have to wear so many different hats and communicate well together to figure out if we put Justin Jefferson back in week 6 of this hamstring injury rather than week 7, right? So I think that I think it's just going to get better.
No, that's a cool way to think about it. Yeah. So returning back to what we were talking about, you're a Titans fan. They have the number 1 overall pick. What if you're the GM? What is your plan?
Want to say that we just got a new GM. I want to say that we picked up the Raiders GM who had a good draft class last year with Brock Bowers, but I think that's right. I'll have to double check that. But the Titans need a QB. We've drafted a couple of QBs the last few years. Really, if you don't have a good QB in the NFL, it's hard to make it to the playoffs. The difference between the top 3 QBs is crazy compared to the next 3, and even crazier compared to the next 3 after that. Like the talent is just so top heavy, and a good quarterback can take you a long way. So that's the tough part of any draft class when you've got the top 5 pick. It's like, okay, which one of these QBs is really going to pan out? Because college to NFL is such a huge jump when it comes to how much processing you have to do. Because the DBs are just that much better at disguising coverages. There's just the skill level is really high. The length of the DBs is so much more. We've got Cam Ward, basically, is what it looks like it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Cam is crazy poised in the pocket. He makes amazing plays. He kind of reminds me of Jameis a little bit in that when
God.
Jameis was at Florida State, he made some
Jeez.
crazy plays on his feet.
You
And
should have
Jameis
this guy.
didn't. Jameis would sit in the pocket and he did not care if there was a 300-pound dude in front of him. He would throw a dime on the money. And he had that ability, but Jameis also had the ability to throw 30 picks in a season. So, you know,
What makes it exciting?
Hey, that's Luke's favorite player. So just you just made Luke's day.
That's
really,
why. That's why
yeah,
he's my favorite player because like he's ballsy enough to go out and do that. Like I just think it's must watch TV for good and bad. And like I just
yeah,
off the field, obviously you gotta love him, but like I just think it's like charismatic. Like you have to watch him play for good or for bad. I think it's hilarious.
yeah. I think that I think, I'm not comparing them skill level at all, just like the way that they carry themselves in the
Yeah.
pocket just reminds me of each other, which is good for the league. You have to have stones to sit back in the pocket in the league. So I think he'll be a good fit, but it's
Nice.
it's tough, man. Some of these QBs look so good in college, and then
Yeah.
You don't
they get
want the
thrown into
Shador?
a
You don't
they
you don't want
thrown
Shador?
into a starting role, and then it's I don't know, man. I really don't know. I hope they both have great careers. I don't know.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it.
I don't know. Tom, what you want to weigh in right now? Your draft prospect over there? Because I want the Browns to do with the Raiders. I want them to trade down, so Shadur can go be with Tom Brady in Las Vegas, and
Yeah,
then
I would love if the Raiders can trade up and get Shador, but
I think that's the
decided
right play.
they decided to win some meaningless games at the end of the year, and now Pete Carroll's the coach. So hey, let's ride.
Yeah, it's Pacific alumni.
Oh,
A lot of bubble gum,
my.
a lot of bubble gum getting chewed on that sideline this next year.
Yeah, that guy has
oh man,
an incredibly defined jaw with the rate and
Yeah,
intensity that he chews gum. It's
how the Ra-
just elite.
I loved how the Raiders posted bubblegum overseeing Allegiant Field when they announced. I thought that was pretty good.
I just can't wait to see him play the Chargers. I hope they get in an old man brawl.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, Pete and Jim have been doing it for years. Like these guys,
I just hope they get.
Those are
They were in the
football
they were in
guys,
the
like-
NFC West. Now they're in the AFC West. Freaking is
and
crazy.
they were college.
In college, yeah.
Stanford,
Heck
USC.
yeah.
How many? We got to look this up and we got to come back to this. But over under 4 joint replacements on the AFC West coaches, on the head coaches in the AFC West. How many joint replacements are there?
That's good. That's
We got to
good.
look this up. I'm
that's
going over.
funny.
I'm going over.
It's gotta
Yeah,
be, right?
There's
Gotta be
some-
over.
There's some elite coaches in that division, man.
They're all oldies but goodies.
Established
They can win,
That's
though.
that tells you how hard it is to be an NFL head coach. That they just would rather hire
Cycling.
80-year-old men.
Well, I thought for sure Pete Carroll was hanging it up, like when he was.
I thought he
done.
was
Like,
done.
yeah, that's crazy to me.
They said
Yeah.
Pete Carroll. I was like, Pete Carroll still coaches? What?
Yeah.
He's got the itch.
Yeah, but then you got guys like Bill Belichick that's gonna go try to coach college. It's just gonna be.
He's gonna get it
this
done.
guy- This guy, he might, but he's gonna.
If they're relevant, that'll be so crazy.
One of the best tweets of the year was, if you told me last year at this time that Bill Belichick would be in college and Nick Saban would not be in college, then I would ask
Yeah.
you what planet you were from.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's crazy.
That's a good point. You guys got anything else, or should we move to starting five here?
Get this
No,
started.
I think it's starting 5 rolling.
All right, so we've kind of alluded to it. We've talked some NFL, we've talked football a lot this episode. We are going to do the 2024-25 NFL season starting five. So, we basically said it can be anything that happened this year. It can be a person, it can be whatever you want. Point guard through center. Hopefully Jared did a good job explaining it.
I gave him a really good rundown.
Good scouting report. So we usually let our guests choose the draft order. Taylor, if you want to choose who you want to like pick first through fourth, and then we usually serpentine it. We snake draft it back around, and you can choose any position. But obviously, it's a basketball lineup, and it's the NFL season this year. So kind of wrap that up.
I'm gonna go with the 4th pick. I want to see what you guys do.
That's smart though.
Okay.
That's really savvy. All right, who do you want to take? 1 through 3.
I'm going Jared 1.
Oh, wow, he doesn't get the homer pick usually, so that's really nice.
Time.
Tom
He
2.
feels
Luke 3.
bad for the crippled
Okay.
old man. So
All right, I'll
Hey,
take
respect.
it. Let's
No,
get
that's
it.
not bad. That's not bad. All right, Jared, you got one. Any position to play.
nah, this is easy, super easy. I'm glad that this fell to me. Taylor, thank you.
Fell to
Ping
me.
pong balls winning my way.
That's crazy.
At point guard, it's real simple. If you play basketball, you hand the ball to your point guard and you let him make stuff happen. So at point guard, I got Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Hand him the ball and make stuff happen.
Okay.
Wow.
So this is
Real
where
simple.
I ask a question. Since it can be anything NFL, can I have the solo Saquon Barkley reverse hurdle as my pick?
Wow.
Does that,
Um,
does
I
that play
think-
or no?
I say
Yeah.
it plays.
It plays to me. No flag
Yeah.
here.
Okay, okay, all right. I'll give an explanation. Usually, small forward. This is gonna be my small forward. Small forward's your highlight reel guy, right? So obviously, this was the coolest thing that happened all year long, no doubt about it. Giving the Saquon Barkley spin cycle into the reverse hurdle, guy's unreal.
Peak
Yeah.
athleticism. That was
Peak.
crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, what? How do you even think of doing that?
You don't.
I'm just
And
gonna
hopefully,
jump over this guy
no youth
backward.
athletes do that next year.
It was funny when it happened too. There was
Yeah, 'cause then
videos on Twitter of kids trying it.
Kids are trying to do it. Kids are getting flipped over sideways.
That is like there's a reason why we've never seen someone do it before. That
That's
is why.
just physically not safe.
Great picks, great 1 and 2. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead. This is interesting. I'm gonna go with my shooting guard. I need to fill it up. Like I need someone that's gonna score a lot. And obviously the fireworks that Saquon had this year overshadowed what this guy did, but he deserves his flowers. I think any other year he's the consensus offensive player of the year. So I'm gonna take Jamar Chase at my shooting guard.
Nice.
I think with what he did, like undeniable big time year. He made a stink before the year about his contract, backed it up with his play, and I think he's making
big time paid.
It's going to be ridiculous. So I'll take Jamar the shooting guard.
Good pick.
Yeah, like
Love that pick. Just to comment back on the spin cycle. 2 rules in football. you never spin into darkness. That means don't spin towards the middle of the field because no neck monsters live there and they can light you up. And 2, you never hurdle someone backwards. Saquon broke both of rule number 1 and rule number 2, and he made a crazy highlight.
That's crazy.
For my pick, I think defense wins championships. I'm going Sauce Gardner. He's gonna lock down any one that you guys throw out there. So I got Sauce on my.
Oh, he's your
I got
PG
Sauce, baby.
as the PG.
Yep.
All right.
I like that.
Sauce.
Saquon is putting him in the blender.
No way.
All right, so back to you, snake draft. So
Yeah,
right back to you.
I'm
Tyler.
going at the 5, who's probably gonna dish out a lot of bloody noses. I'm going Myles Garrett at the 5.
God, I'm sick. That was my. Jeez.
Watch out.
That was my
Don't come
thought for
don't come in the paint. Don't come in the paint.
No, that's yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
that was
and like his dunk highlight reel is actually insane.
no.
When he goes to place pick.
He's literally unreal. He's unreal. He's unreal.
Where do you think
okay.
where do you think he lands, Taylor? Real quick, just quick one blurb. He says he wants trade. Where's he gonna land? Does he go to Kansas City?
That would break my heart. I don't know who can afford him right now. I haven't looked at the cap on every team. So
Yeah, got it. Okay.
He's
not
gonna
going
get paid.
anywhere, is what's gonna happen.
I hope
That's my
true.
prediction.
Then he goes where?
I don't think he goes anywhere. I think this he
They
makes a
double
big
down.
stink. The Browns have a pretty solid offseason, and then he says, you know what, we can run it back. And I think that's what's gonna happen. They're a quarterback away from being a solid team. They have plenty of talent. That's the way I look at it. All right. That's sad that you took Miles there because I was gonna take him next. Okay. To try to negate the athleticism and size that Myles Garrett has in the post, we're gonna take a center as well. We're gonna take Penei Sewell at my center here.
Oh yeah.
That's just a pure offense defense play right there. We need someone that on paper is gonna have to block him, and there you go. That's our guy. So give me Penei Sewell at the center. And mobile too. We saw him do a lot of different things this year, including wind up to throw a pass.
Most athletic lineman in the league, right there.
Here we go.
Crazy. All right, that's me, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go to point guard. We need a guy that's going to see the court. This guy obviously processes at a very high level. We saw it all year long. Absolute breakout year. What a special rookie he was. Give me Jaden Daniels at the 1.
Nice.
Two guys
Nice.
down.
Nice.
All right. Well,
Game 5.
I don't want to lose another guy here, so I'm gonna have to take my center. This guy, putting him at center because that's the only place he could actually be, and he probably has the closest body type to Nikola Jokic, and he has the same freakish mind. So give me Andy Reid at the center.
Nice.
Walrus playing center.
Andy Reid at the center. I mean, think
it.
about it. Built the same, think the same. That's a good Jokic pick right there.
It's
Yeah.
an NAU guy, by the way. NAU.
Shout out Lumberjacks.
Red.
Yes, sir. Big Red.
Hey, question real quick, Luke. Did they actually shave the chainsaw thing into football games too, or was that just a basketball game thing?
Every touchdown, they cut a cookie. Every single touchdown.
Jesus.
Lumberjack.
Taylor, I went to a game up there. They literally were sawing in the basketball gym a log, a guy in a lumberjack in a lumberjack uniform.
That's how you know there's no cap in their rap, man. They're true to their colors.
Okay. My next pick at small forward. This guy is my best athlete. This guy is my highlight. This guy is the LeBron to my team. Give me Nico Collins, small forward. If he doesn't get hurt, I think that offense and I think that Texans team plays a little different.
Yeah, Jamar might not have a triple crown if he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Guy's a monster.
All right, everybody got their center, so I'll go ahead and get this off the board. I need a little bit of a psycho here to compete with what you guys have going on. So I'm gonna go Max Crosby here, and that wingspan is no joke. So he's getting every rebound.
That's a good
When
pick.
when you said psycho, did any of you guys think of anybody else? Other than Max Crosby, or did you know
No.
immediately that he was going to say Max Crosby?
Well, he's a Raider fan for one, and two,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, did you see how he was dressed at the NFL awards? It looked like he just looks so out of
A nut.
place.
He is a nut. I hope the Raiders can pair Miles Garrett with him. That'd be sick.
That'd be terrifying.
Yeah, that would be scary. That would be
That
pretty
would be scary.
That would be terrifying.
That would be scary. All right, I'm gonna go to my small forward here. This is my defensive anchor. I was afraid when Taylor was explaining his point guard that he was going to take him. This is cornerback one, and he won DPOY for a reason. Give me Pat Surtain second, PS2 at my small forward. I mean, there's a reason why that Denver Broncos defense was as good as they were with not as much talent as some of these other defenses, and I think that's the reason. So I'll take PS2 at my small forward.
Good pick.
He was also in my top 5. I love that pick.
Yeah.
So I get 2 picks here.
Yep.
All right, so going back to the Raiders, got to show some tight end love. Brock Bowers, freak athlete. He's my 4.
Dude, he was nuts.
Hell
That boy is going to break some records in the NFL. So
Yeah.
he already broke a
He's-
ton this one year. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter
he's-
who's throwing to him. It
No,
really
he's
doesn't
actually
matter.
he's actually a real problem.
Like if you remember who Tony Gonzalez's quarterbacks were, like the second string guy came in, and if Tony had one guy on him, he was open. If he had 2 guys on him, he was open. 3 guys on him, maybe you still think about throwing him the ball. Like that's how Brock is. Brock's
Yeah.
that good. I got
Yeah.
Brock at the 4. And then from personal experience playing with this guy in hoops a handful of times, Mike Evans is my 3.
Oh,
really
great
good.
pick.
Mike Evans
He's got
can
hoop game.
shoot the rock. He's got sick hoop game. He'll go down the lane. He'll jam on you. That guy can ball. Mike Evans is my 3.
That's nice.
Hall of
good pick.
Famer right there.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Evans. Big time fantasy run for me.
Yeah, he was.
He was a big time fantasy player for me this year. Okay.
All right, let's hear it. I know
I'm
your
gonna
next
go-
pick is.
No, I'm not taking him. I'm gonna
Oh.
go. I actually had Brock Bowers at my power forward, so I'm gonna make a sub at my power forward, and I'm gonna go with the Browns. I'm gonna go with David Njoku. I think he's extremely underrated at his position. He's very loved by Browns fans. I can tell you that. But once Jameis came in there and started slinging the ball anywhere, we saw that he
Numbers
could
were
go up
bumping.
and he can go up and be a vertical threat. So I've been a big fan of his, and I think he's a workhorse. So we'll put him at the power forward.
He's the best receiver in that core over there, in that room over there, or what?
Yeah. He's Judy is elite though. 1,400 yards. 1,400 yards. That's undeniable production.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead, Tom.
I'm gonna go shooting guard here. Yeah, I think this guy could be special as the 2. He's got the basketball build. He's got the wiry frame. So I think I think he would have smooth game, good handle, real Jamal Crawford type game. Give me Devontae Smith.
I knew it. Yep.
Give me Devontae Smith.
Good pick.
Slim Reaper.
Former Heisman winner.
Yeah, he's a winner. That's a winner.
Yeah,
right there.
I saw a stat that there's only like 4 or 5 players that have been national champion, Heisman, and NFL champion, and he just joined that list. So
Wow.
Did Hurts win a Heisman or no?
no, he didn't win a
No.
Heisman. It was
Number
like
2.
Marcus Allen, some dude, some old timers, but there. Yeah, I think it was only 4. I think there was only a list of 4 people.
For some
That's
reason
nice.
I thought Jalen won it at Oklahoma.
Yeah, no, he might have been a finalist, but
Yeah, he was a runner-up.
Who won it that year? Do you remember?
I don't know. Was it
that
Tony Vailoa?
was. I
It
think
might
it
have
was Devonta Smith.
Was it Devontae?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Devonta Smith.
Yeah, it would have been. No, that's right. That's right.
It's me, yeah.
Yeah.
Need shooting guard, power forward. All right, so my original shooting guard got taken, but I'm not mad at this guy because I feel like when it comes to being shifty and creating space, this guy does it with the best of them, and he scores. like really scores. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah. It's a hell of a pick.
Guy catches touchdowns, runs touchdowns. Like he's nasty.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, he's nasty. And then let's see, power forward. I feel like everybody has one on their team, and my power forward, original power forward, got taken too. So this guy was another backup. He was my fantasy workhorse this year. Give me a George Kittle. Guy is unbelievably talented, good leader, and probably the most entertaining on the wide receiver show on Netflix, in my opinion. So
The people's tight end.
yeah,
Yeah.
guy's hilarious.
Love
So
George.
Good golfer too, I've heard.
Is
Solid
he?
golfer, I've heard too.
Oh, nice.
I guess he's always at Harding Park out there. That's what I've heard.
Mm,
Nice.
So he's got good taste.
Nice.
My power forward to match Kittle. He might not be as physical as George because not many people in the NFL are, but I think he can hold his own just fine. I'll go DK Metcalf here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
DK Metcalf at the 4.
that's
If George has
dude
a
is-
long George has a long closeout, he might be screwed.
no, that's yeah.
The clips of DK on a basketball court are scary as well. We were talking about
No.
Miles, but his are
Yeah.
scary too. All right, I have point guard remaining.
That'd be like if Zion got in real shape. That's what he would look
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Dang.
He's the
Literally.
beast, bro.
What could be? What could be?
I have this is my only non-player of my lineup, and I was waiting to take him here. He was in a contract year as a coach, I believe, or next year he's a contract, and he just got re-signed to a massive deal. He took the Vikings team that looked pretty lackluster in the beginning of the season to pretty big time heights in the best division in football this year. I got Kevin O'Connell at my point guard.
Nice.
Really good coach.
Nice.
Yeah. That's cool that they kept him.
I'm also going to the coaching staff for my last one, who was an absolute beast as a Boise State Bronco. Kellen Moore, who just got his first head
Just
coaching
got-
job.
Dang.
Hey,
Nice.
Kellen Moore is
youngest
my number
head
2.
coach, right? Yeah, youngest head coach.
I
in the league.
believe so.
Yeah.
And I bet he's a sniper from the 3 with that left hand.
Yeah.
Kellen's got a crazy offensive mind. When he was getting recruited at Boise State, he was watching the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl where they won that game against Adrian Peterson with a Statue of Liberty, one of
yeah.
the best college games of all time. He was getting recruited at that time, and he had watched so many Boise State practices that when they lined up for the 2-point conversion, he leaned over to his dad and he said Statue of Liberty before the play was called.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Dang. That's sick.
That boy is
sick.
nuts. I can't wait to
That's-
see what he does as a head coach.
Good
Nah,
pick.
that's gonna be huge. That's gonna be nice. All right, now you got walk on Taylor.
Walk on. Whew. So in the past, I don't know what you guys have done for walk-ons in terms of players versus non-players, but I think this guy's going to bounce back big this year. It's my walk-on pick because he was last in the draft. I'm going Brock Purdy as my walk-on pick.
Good
I like
pick.
it.
That's a
I
great
think
pick.
he had a down year, and I really think he's going to turn it up.
Nice.
He's about to get paid too, so hopefully that helps. All right, my walk-on pick. I'm glad that I got an early stab at this one. This guy broke barriers this year. He did things that haven't been done ever in years. Since I think like Jim Thorpe. So give me Cooper DeJean.
Love
Big time Super Bowl performance. Obviously, we haven't seen a white quarterback be successful in whoever knows like how long. And
Jason
on-
Sehorn,
Yeah.
There
the
you go.
last one.
So Cooper DeJean, big time play, obviously in
The
the Super
Twitter
Bowl.
memes were
obviously.
just going crazy. I'm
Yo,
sorry. It was just
I don't want to look. I
Oh,
don't want to bring
good.
LeBron into this, but you don't think he was a little bit fueled by not getting dapped up by LeBron on the sideline? You don't think he was thinking that's for you, Bron, when he was taking that pick 6 back? I don't know. I think it's something to think about.
Ron probably still doesn't recognize him.
He probably doesn't. He looks like just like us, so he's a freak athlete too. I don't know. Hey, I
No,
don't
I
know if
saw
you've
the
seen his
dunk
hoop
highlights.
mixtape.
I saw the dunk.
I don't know how he went so far in the draft. Like how is he not a top 15 pick? think.
Because he grew up in South Dakota. He's got to be the best athlete to ever come out of that state.
Dude, he was literally
nuts at
two-hand
Iowa.
punching. He was
Bro.
punching in high school.
It's crazy.
Like
He's
he
a nuts
baptized a
athlete.
couple kids. It was crazy. I saw that.
Yeah.
Like literally
So-
pro hop, two-hand. I was like,
Shout
God.
out to Cooper DeJean, man.
He's
Yeah, shout out.
It's a special rookie right there.
all right. I'll take my walk on here. Honestly, can't believe Luke didn't pick him. I think Jameis Winston is the no-brainer.
Yeah, I
for-
just I couldn't.
You got to be on brand, man. You got to be on
Why?
brand.
Like that's just
Jameis
easy.
came
Though.
in.
Those two, the
Jameis,
two picks I thought you would take, you didn't take, which is it blew my mind.
Jameis came in and made the Browns must-watch TV. Like and specifically, I won't make this my pick, but I do have to just shout out the pregame interview of the snow game. Just that guy's
So good.
incredible. He is the best.
He's been on a tear the last 3
on a
weeks.
tear,
Like,
yeah.
He's been on a
The Mike
tear.
in
I mean, yeah.
downtown NOLA all week.
I was about to say we are getting a preview of what the rest of his career, like what his supposed to be career.
better
is. Like
be on
this
TV.
this is
Yeah.
his true calling. Is
Yeah,
being
no.
behind a camera or in front of a camera with a microphone. Like he is comedy.
He's pure
good.
God.
So good.
All right, at walk on. I mean, this is easy. He was a walk on, and he had an amazing season. And I hope it continues because the Browns left him for dead. Give me Baker.
Guys,
Man,
Trade
love
Baker.
it. Love it.
Baker
We-
Mayfield.
I like it. All right.
Yeah.
Jared's lineup. We got point guard Saquon, shooting guard Jahmyr Gibbs, small forward Nico Collins, power forward George Kittle, center Andy Reid, Baker Mayfield as his walk on. Tommy has Jaden Daniels as his point guard, Devonta Smith as his shooting guard, Saquon's reverse hurdle as a small forward, DK Metcalf at the power forward, Max Crosby at the center, Jameis as his walk on. I have Kevin O'Connell at the point guard, Jamar Chase at the shooting guard, Pat Surtain second at small forward, David Njoku at power forward, Penei Sewell at center, and Cooper DeJean as my walk on. Taylor has Sauce Gardner at the point, Kellen Morris shooting guard, Mike Evans at the 3, Brock Bowers at the 4, Myles Garrett at center, and Brock Purdy as his walk on. I think that's a pretty good.
Good hoops, man.
I mean,
that'd be a
there's
good.
not much.
If they set
gonna
that up
say-
for the All Star game, how they're doing 4 teams this year, that would be like some good.
I'd rather watch that than the actual All-Star game.
One thing we can for sure count on is it's going to be physical.
Yeah, yeah.
I might
A lot of
sign
fouling.
sign Lattimore.
Yeah.
I might sign
That-
Lattimore just to get
that-
get a little
Yeah,
rowdy
yeah,
with,
yeah.
with Evans.
Yeah, that's why.
Lattimore
That's why I
down
left.
the bench.
I left Lad McConkey and Ben Johnson off the team. I just didn't want. I just didn't want to see anybody get hurt.
But
That's a problem.
I think Andy Reid is shooting underhand free throws. I don't know what you guys
I
think.
get that vibe too.
Come on,
I
Big Red. Like,
Cash though. Cash.
All net.
here, Jared, what you got for us?
Well, Taylor, Super Bowl may be over, and the Eagles are soaring high. But with my 50 chips a night and the greens staying dry, I'll use a little bump and run to roll the ball nice and tight.
Nice.
Wow. I
That's a
love
good
it.
one.
Waxing poetic. Nice job from the garage.
I always go straight to the guest. My eyes are locked on the guest.
Yeah, just pure reaction.
Yeah, pure reaction. Yeah.
Just to see the confusion when it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, some people get confused. Some people get upset. Some people try to get off the recording. When I rapped a couple times. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I was a healthy mixture of confused and upset. So thank you for that, Jared.
I mean, it's 10 p.m. You know, I'm just trying to get you, a little extra reps here before that 4 a.m. Wake up call comes.
Love
Don't
it.
put that evil on me. Come on, man.
With Taylor, we really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Yeah,
Take
Taylor, thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
it, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Great story, and obviously I love hearing about football insight. You have great insight as of that as well. So that was cool to hear. But we really appreciate you over here. And as always, these are your favorite walk-ons, and we're walking out.